Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to my crazy ass. Welcome to my video. I'm here. It's been a little while. I haven't done a video in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna get comfortable and just tune in and chill into it. I've got my tea and I've got some notes. I love my notes. As you know, I probably thought, oh, I'll just write one page, but no, it always ends up being about 10 pages. But fuck knows where this is gonna go. So without further ado, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. It makes me feel seen. Put a comment below if you like the video, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it insightful. If you completely disagree with me, that's totally cool too. I love everyone's opinion is relevant. And of course, I'm just giving you another opinion, you know, on the way that I approach life and how I see it. Obviously, I think there has to be some level of consensus on reality, which these days seems to be completely just fucking out, like, what's real? So I think it's important that we talk about these topics, and it's important that, you know, at least I try to put myself out there and make the effort. So anyway, today it might be a heavy one, so please know that this is real talk. We are talking about real things, okay? So if you are not up for that, then that's okay. Then tune away now. I take no ownership for this knowledge that I'm sharing. I'm just putting it out there into the world. YouTube is the real world, isn't it? Of course. But yeah, if you are up for real talk and something that might be considered a bit of a heavy topic, well then come on in and let's do it. So I trust that you're mentally stable and healthy. Please, no death threats, and if you're going to leave a comment, make it somewhat intelligent and make it, relevant. Okay, so the topic that I'm looking at today is open relationships. Now, this was asked in the Q&A. Someone asked me what were my thoughts on this topic. And yeah, I'm a witchy person. I'm very occult based. I'm very spiritual, but I'm also very interested in science and sociology and the world that we live in and how it all works. And of course, humans and relationships. You know, life is relationships at the end of the day. And I'm not telling you what you should do. This is not a me telling you or me putting myself in a position where I'm above you and looking down at you. That's not what this is. So take out that element to it. The angle that I'm coming at this from today is what works for me and how I see it. And that only can come from my experiences, my life, and just seeing it, being out there and living it. Like, there are a lot of people that are into psychology, but they might be book smart, but they haven't really been in relationships, dealt with real issues. So there's a big difference between reading a book, doing a course, and then living out in life and actually experiencing things, the real thing, okay? So my stance on open relationships is that if you have an open relationship, you do not have a relationship, okay? Not in my book. It's not real. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to give you all of the breakdowns that I can, come up with today, or just a few things. I'm just going to kind of brush over the top of the surface of it. Obviously, there are a lot of nuances. There's a lot of variables that would come into play for a topic like this. But in my eyes, for me, the only person that is fucking my partner when I'm in a relationship is me. The only person that gets to be with my partner is me. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want to say. If you're not familiar with what an open relationship is, well, then it is that a romantic relationship, a partnership has opened itself. So whether this was from both parties, or obviously both parties would need to be consenting to that, but it would also mean that someone initiated it in the relationship. It's not likely that two parties both came together at the same time and were like, hey, let's open this relationship. There'll always be an initiator, and then there'll be someone who kind of like goes along with it, okay? But we'll get into that a little bit later. So the concept of it is that they're opening it up to the public, to the outside world, to have other people that can come in and have sex with each other or together or separate. Obviously different demographics, different cultures, different, what's the word? Like, what's not types of people, but yeah, I mean, yeah, types of people would be more in tune to this. I'm being aggressively real, you know. Gay culture is very open to this. It's a massive part of it, to be honest, but I'm looking at this as an overall, okay? So it is what it is. And at the end of the day, the exclusivity that you have in a relationship is what makes it a relationship, okay? And that's really what it is. When you open something up, you're kind of splitting a paradigm and saying that you want the protection and sanctity and safety of having monogamy or having a connection that's between someone, but yet at the same time, you want them, or you want to go and explore other experiences or potential options with other people at one time. So the old saying, you wanna have your cake and eat it too. And this is where it really gets very, very uncomfortable and very painful, because potentially, and I will just say it straight up now, in life, you will do better in life if you choose a side and are loyal to that side, okay? You're not gonna get blessings from both sides of the coin at one time, okay? There is multiple paradigms running in life that are all happening at one time, but you would do better if you stick to one and work it out and follow that through. And that requires a lot of discipline, a lot of dedication. And in terms of a relationship, relationships are complicated. Love is complicated, okay? But these days, given the reason why I wanted to cover this topic is because we're kind of heading into a very, and this word might freak you out a little bit, but like I said, this is real talk. We are heading into a very Luciferic period in the history of humanity, where it's kind of like just an open buffet and a free-for-all, and it's kind of rebellion for rebellion's sake. So what I'm saying here is that things that were traditionally safe, things that had tradition, are now starting to collapse. And now we're seeing people that want to live in life and want the benefits and the fruits of something, but aren't really necessarily prepared to put in the work that comes along with actually cultivating something that is real. And that's what Luciferian consciousness is. It is basically elusive. It's an illusion. It's creating a fantasy and then trying to bring that into reality, which is completely deconstructing a very important law that we have here. And I'm kind of looking at this from a esoteric level, and that is the Hermetic principle of the law of, obviously, the law of identity. So when we don't define something, when we don't define a relationship, or we can't define who we are getting off the hook for having to take ownership or responsibility for our behavior. Now I can do anything I want to anyone and I'm going to get away with it because I never defined it, okay? Think again, all right? It's not realistic and it can't work long term. So in terms of the topic that I'm looking at today, where I'm looking at open relationships, why they don't work, is that we all have relationships with each other. So we have friendships, we have a relationship with our mother, we have a relationship with our friends, and we don't necessarily get jealous when our friends have other friends, because we know that that's within their capacity to do so. We tend to only get jealous when we have a relationship with someone and that other person is having a relationship with someone else. Because when we claim ownership on someone, or we claim, not ownership, that's not the right word. We don't want our partner to be owned by us, but we want to have a form of safety which we create with that person where they can be there for us when we need them. But if we open something up, we are opening up, well, in psychology, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but we call it, when we get in a relationship, we call it closing the doors and shutting the windows. So we're removing outside influences that could potentially come in to destroy your relationship or threaten your relationship. Now, humans are hypergamous. So we know that by nature. We are programmed and hardwired. It always comes back down to the Neanderthal, which is like, we're looking for the bigger, better deal. Okay, the BBD, the bigger, better deal. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're in an open relationship and you give your partner permission to go and explore other potentials, you are also giving them the permission to potentially find a better option than you. Goes without saying. Now, I happen to believe, from what I see online these days, all of these open relationships, is that it's kind of this whole thing where it's not really a relationship in the sense of what it is. It's more like like you've got an arrangement. So it's kind of like, and I think that most relationships are really kind of based on survival. They're not really based on love. So it would be like the dual income. So you've got like a dual income, and that's how you can support the cost of what it costs to actually live the lifestyle that you want. So you recognize that you can't actually generate enough income to support yourself as a solo person being single. So you look for a potential partner that you can meet that could potentially or will help you achieve your lifestyle. So it's like your survival overrides your commitment to that person and creating a relationship that is exclusive. Okay, so it is the exclusivity in a relationship that defines it as a relationship. Otherwise, it's just a friendship. It's just an arrangement. It's just casual. And when I think of the word casual, it kind of gets me right in the heart, because I mean, when you say it's a casual relationship, that's kind of like it doesn't matter. It's casual. It could be gone at any moment. I'm just keeping this person where I need them because it serves me a function. I'm using them, and then I'm going to discard them. So this is very bad as well, because what it's doing is, when you do that to another person, you are basically reducing them to a blow-up doll, or you're reducing them to a dildo, which is something that you just play with like a toy, and then when you're done, you just kind of discard you. And it's very, like, this is cognitive dissonance, right? This is cognitive dissonance. Get real with this. This is not the way to approach relationships. It's not the way to approach and treat another human being. This is, like, back again, Luciferic as hell, is that we don't have commitment. When the going gets tough, we just look for a better option, or we like to keep our options open in case something else comes along that we can replace this person with. It's not real, and it can't yield anything that is real, okay? Because it's not based in truth. It's not based in the heart. It's not based in a place that is really taking that person in and making them feel safe, and having the sanctity of knowing that you're not just going to walk out the door at your earliest convenience and the other person is going to be left completely shell-shocked and horrified and decimated, because that's where this usually goes. And that's where I'm going back to the illusion thing, is that a lot of people just need to accept that you're just not compatible. You're not compatible. You're not. And you know you're not, you know? And that's fine, okay? So when two people want to start having sex with other people, that's called a breakup, okay? That is a breakup, and there's nothing wrong with a breakup. It's natural. It happens all the time, okay? That's called a divorce. That's not called a relationship. Okay, and I know that we're living in this wokey culture where everything is like it's just getting so sick out there, where yet again, there's no consensus on reality. and we kind of, everything's about being liberated, and it's like freedom for freedom's sake. And it's all about this kind of word salad that's kind of like empowering ourselves. But when it comes down to it, it's just a cover. It's just a mask, okay? You know, for me personally, there's nothing liberating or sexual watching people run a train on my partner. You know, for a man, it's would be very, very demasculating to watch a group of guys fuck your wife and take turns. That is the opposite of what connectivity is. Sex, to me, as a male modern man, is the consummation of union. It's not just a play. We're not just reducing someone to a toy and then discarding them, okay? This is why we have so many mental health problems, is because we're not taking in the other person and treating them as a soul, as a heart. We're objectifying them in this kind of really kind of ambiguous kind of state that isn't really conducive to anything that's stable or real, because we're operating in the lower chakra, which is the dick. Okay, so a lot of porn is like that. A lot of porn is very damaging as well, and it's basically a bad influence on young men because they see this type of behavior, particularly with really rough group sex, and then they try and emulate that, and it's really bad. Okay, so I would say that. Okay, so I hope that this is all making sense, and I hope that I'm getting it through to you. Let's have a look at my notes. But yeah, you've got it. Why is it, I'm thinking to myself, why is it that we live in a world where sex or objectification or humiliation of another person to make ourselves feel better, or just reducing a person to just the physical, is more important than someone's heart and soul? You know, why is that? It comes up a lot. And, you know, I've never seen relationships that are open work long term. I've never seen it. Never. It's really kind of the friends with benefits kind of thing. It's very soul destroying. It's very destructive to a partner. And there always will be one initiator or the seeker that has this thing that they want to bring to the other partner. And it's usually like the other partner kind of wants to, they feel pressured to go along with it. So basically it's someone kind of using the other partner to get their needs met, or to hurt the other person, whether they're aware of it or not. But I don't think most people are really aware of their own behavior because, yeah, it's just not real. And this whole thing where we think that we can split ourselves, where we kind of, like a lot of closeted people do this as well, where it's like, I have my sex life and then I have my love life, and they're two separate things. Like, for fuck's sake. No, it's insane. But yeah, and that's really kind of what it is. So it's really a lot about open relationships is really about kind of what I call off the hook behavior. So it's when, like I said earlier, when we don't have to define something, then we can completely just do whatever we want and no one's going to hold me accountable. And that really kind of means that you can get off the hook for using another person. Okay, so it's really not, and it's really not good for self-esteem as well, because, I mean, could you imagine coming home, and in this modern world, I mean, it's so busy, like everyone's busy, we're always working, we're doing stuff, and then you come home from work and the little bit of energy that you have left, that you want to give your partner, you feel tired and you're like, fuck, I just want to chill. And you want to spend that time with your partner, and then your partner's on their phone looking for sex or chatting to someone else over the little bit of time that you would actually have to spend with them. They're actually now hooked on the app, sitting there looking at the app, looking at potential people over you, in front of you. and then maybe even talking about it with you. I mean, I mean, how fucking demeaning is that? But yeah, a big part of it is the phobia of loss, I think, comes into play a lot with open relationships, is that all fear is fear of loss. So if you, if you're not happy in a relationship, just say so. But for people, if they're, particularly for men, if a woman comes to them and says, hey, I want to open this relationship, the guy will, if it's not the guy who initiates it, it would be like, I've built this history with you, I've spent all this time with you, and I've really loved you, and now it's like almost kind of just like a big slap in the face. And it would kind of like be like, no, just break up. Just if you don't want to be with me, then that's okay, just don't be with me. But ultimately you'd be wondering, are they having better sex with the other person over me? Are they enjoying the other person's company over me? And of course there are many other aspects to a relationship other than just purely the physical. Of course, there's the mind, there's the heart, what have you got in common? And so to have a relationship, putting the psychology hat back on, you have to have a point of relativity to be able to do that. So you've got to have something in common. So if you give your partner permission to go out and have sex with other people, you have just opened up the potential doorway for them to find a stronger point of relativity for them. And we can all say that, oh no, it's just sex. Oh no, I don't get emotionally attached. I mean, how the fuck would you know that? How would you know that? You can't. You don't know how you're going to react to another person. It wouldn't be unrealistic to think that you're in a relationship and you have attraction to other people while you're with your partner. But at some point, we have to have some level of respect for ourselves and some level of respect for the other person that we're in a relationship with. Okay? Because we're hypergamous. We are always looking for the bigger, better deal, the better option. And this comes back to nature, the law of nature, is that the young woman, the young animal or animal woman, whatever, that's out in nature, she is looking for her best option to mate with and have a family with and have kids with or procreate with. So she's not going to be going for the old sick one. She's going to be going for the one that has the higher chance of survival, which would generally be attracted to an alpha type male that is able to provide, that is able to stick around. So what I'm saying here is not hypergamy, but we are hypergamous, yeah, but by default in a polyamorous relationship dynamic, it's not advantageous to creating a family that is stable or secure. And we know that it destroys families. And we know scientifically that it also opens up the risk of extreme problems with the kids. We know that single parenting, that a pair bonding does better in raising kids than not defining who the father is. So what I'm saying is, if there was like a man or out in nature and he has 20 sexual experiences, then there'd be 20 kids. He can't raise 20 kids at one time. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit off topic there, but I hope that makes sense. Another thing I want to bring up in my notes as well is, where are we at? 23 minutes. Getting a bit chatty. Is that there is a thing called a love bank, which I like to use this term, and I've used it with clients and I've used it when I talk just in general, is that, say for example, you have a partner. Let me have a sip. You have a partner that you've been with for a while and you guys live together. You may even share finances, kids, whatever with, and you're fighting, you're nagging. All relationships have ups and downs, and you're going through a bit of a rough patch. And humans, we are designed to go towards what feels good. Okay, so say for example, your love bank for your partner's here, and after all the fighting and nagging and whinging, and you're just frustrated with your partner, your love bank starts to go down. Okay, Now, you're not really loving that person as strongly as what you were when you first met that partner. So what happens a lot of the time, and believe me, I know, is someone else comes along, better option, and your love bank for them is higher because you don't have the same history of fighting and anger and nagging and life problems that you do with this other person. So your attraction to this other person is up here, and your attraction to your partner after a long period of time has kind of gotten a bit stale and complacent is down here. So we go towards what feels good, and we go up towards the better option, the bigger, better deal. So now this happens a lot with men as well, is that they will go on and find a potential partner that makes him feel how she doesn't make him feel. Someone that makes him feel better and something that is new. And as much as I'm against open relationships, and I think it's very damaging and destructive and just completely insane and hurtful and is that there is a saying which is that nothing breeds contempt more than familiarity. And that is true. That is true. But I would rather have the working through the problems than just replacing my partner or looking for something better that makes me feel better than my partner. When I'm in a fight with a partner or I'm having a hard time, for me, I always come back to the why am I with them? How do they make me feel? Like when we boil psychology down to it all, I don't give a shit whether you're using some reverse psychology on someone or some shit like that. It all comes down to how they make us feel. Okay, so when they walk through the door, how do they make us feel? How do we make them feel? That's what really keeps us there. So I would know that I have chosen my partner for a reason. Sometimes we grow together, we're growing together, or sometimes we grow apart, and that's okay, we break up. But the whole thing, if I keep this person here and then I go off and do whatever I want, that's shameful, disrespectful, and dangerous. Also STI levels through the roof. You could bring an STI back to your partner. And I know here in Melbourne, 1 in 20 gay men have HIV now and don't even know it. You know, there's been a lot of complacency about that in the community, but I'm just saying you can get gonorrhea in the mouth from sucking dick. You can catch something in the most simplest ways at a very simple sexual contact. You can catch something and bring it to your partner. You've just invited diseases. You've just invited STIs into your partner's body. It's irresponsible, okay? That being said, yes, I understand that you have to have the due diligence and the willingness to really work the problems in the relationship to make your relationship stronger. Every relationship, I don't care whether it's a friendship or whether it is a committed partnership, will have a rupture. It will have a problem that will happen. But it takes both parties that are willing to see that and work towards repairing that. And that's what can make a relationship stronger. Seeking someone else to bring someone else in as entertainment or to use them as a toy or to separate emotional connection is insane. And it's not healthy. It's not stable and it's not real. Remember, we can't sustain something that isn't real. So it's very important that we know that. And if you are in a relationship and you don't really love this person and you are just using them and you know it, okay, you know it, then admit it. Like just own it. Own your behavior. Own what belongs to you, because trust me, you're just going to hurt the other person. If the other person isn't hurting you, that's really what it is. So everyone kind of wants, and I think this kind of coincides with how culture has changed through technology, through all of these variables that are coming in at us, like apps. We are living in a post-app world, so how we connect to each other has also completely changed. And we have this kind of illusion look at reality, where we think relationships, how they should be, how they're depicted to us on television or in the media. Yet again, it just isn't, it's not real, okay? And the breakdown of reality is what, I'm going back to the Luciferian thing, is that when there is no consensus on reality, then everything begins to collapse. The family unit begins to collapse. Society begins to collapse, because we're not taking each other in for our best interest. To bring something in and love it is to keep it safe, and it is to take its best interest in as a part of ourselves. To keep someone in a state where we just use another person and keep them there, that's not love. It's not love, okay? So in order to have safety in a relationship, and I know I've dropped a lot of fucking truth bombs in this video already. In order to have safety in a relationship, you need to be able to bring safety into the relationship. When I say safety, I mean like that your partner doesn't just think that you're just going to walk out the door at any second and disappear and ghost them. Okay, you have to be able to stick around. But when you're playing around and you're fucking around with other people, I mean, how much safety is in that? You know, this whole don't kiss, don't tell thing. Like, just that's living life. Like, just telling me what I want to know. I want to hear something positive because it makes me feel good. That's not realistic. That's not how we grow, and that's not being truthful. It's fantasy. Okay, fantasy. This is where reality is starting to go now in culture, is that there is the bleeding that is going on between reality and fantasy are starting to really bleed together to a point where it's just like, what's real anymore? Now, a lot of people like to get off the hook, and they like to do the whole thing where, not everyone can fulfill every part and of course they can't. Not everyone can fulfill every part of us. But we have to understand that if we want to create and build a healthy, stable, functional, long-lasting relationship, then we're not doing things that are basically in the alignment of the complete opposite of that. Because having a three-way or opening up the relationship might feel sexy, and it might feel in a fantasy, in a sexual fantasy kind of thing, where it's like, it's all going to be great and we're going to have this great time. Trust me. Okay. Trust me. I've been there. I understand. All right. When it plays out in reality and the door shuts and it's all said and done, you're going to be standing there going, like the aftermath of it won't be in the fantasy of it, because you're going to have to clean up the emotional aftermath of it. And sometimes relationships don't ever recover from this opening up thing or having this open thing, because I'm warning you, and some star signs are actually more, some star signs are actually a little bit more prevalent to this. The old Sagittarius and Geminis, is that you'll learn, or maybe you won't, but I have, is that there is a difference between creating a fantasy and a fantastical kind of illusion, and then trying to get that to play out, and then coming back down into reality and having to calibrate that and recover from that, is two completely different things. Okay, so also loving someone and being loved in return, two completely different things. I hope that made sense. But yeah, generally it tends to be a partner that kind of enforces it onto the other partner, and the other partner kind of just goes along with it because they don't want to risk the monetary gain or the lifestyle, or they don't want to lose the partner. But I mean, you know, how far could this ever really go? So it's really important that if you are the perpetrator and you are doing this to your partner, that it is important that you also know the potential ramifications that you're going to have with them, okay, with the other person that you're doing this to. Okay, so if you don't want to be with someone, just break up. It happens all the time. You want to go fuck other people, go fuck other people. Do what you want to do, okay? but it's the exclusivity that actually defines what a relationship is. Otherwise, it's just an open thing where there's no explanation, there's no definition of something. The lines are all blurred, anything can happen. Yeah, having your cake and eat it too. Yeah, it's really cruel. A lot of, and this gets really, I'm going to get a little bit heavier here too. There are different levels to society, okay? A lot of people don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, there is. Humans are hierarchical, humans are tribal, so there are different levels. So a lot of closeted and bisexual men that are in the closet actually live an underground lifestyle where they might be married with kids and have a family, and they actually go and use gay men for sex because gay men are lower in society than they are. Okay, so this whole separation thing, and they don't see it as cheating because he's a guy, not a girl. It's cheating. You're having sex with other people, okay? That's what it is. You're also, basically, it's a big slap in the face to your wife or partner or significant other, is that you're in some kind of state of this underground lifestyle. And it is very dangerous for the gay man because it pulls the gay man back into this underground lifestyle, into this closeted underground world that can't yield anything that's real because the other person isn't even in ownership of their own self to begin with. So the dynamic of the relationship is already hidden. It's already in a place that, it can't go anywhere. It's a little bit sadomasochistic, and it's very damaging because it regresses the gay man and pulls him back into this thing that really, he did the work, he came out, and now he's got to go back into this thing. Yeah, so I hope that all makes sense. Let's have a look at the notes. Yes, I think I've covered that. I think I've done it all. Yeah, all of this progressive shit. Stop going with what's trending. Stop going with what your friends are doing or what the pressures of society is. If it doesn't feel right for you in your heart and you feel uncomfortable with this, then don't do it, okay? Most of the time, most relationships, the cold hard truth is, you're just not compatible. This person wants something different to what you want. And that's what it is, okay? So just accept it, own it. And when we sit down and we can say, hey, I just want to have an open relationship. I just want to go have sex with other people. Then that's okay. Just say that and tell the truth. Don't be sneaky. Don't be deceptive. Don't push that onto another person if that's not where they came for, and be manipulative, because open relationships are a recipe for disaster. We are tribal, yes, but pair bonding is a massive part of humans. It's who we are. It's what we do. So also as well, I've got a lot of love to give. Okay, I'm going to be the first one to say it, but I have only enough energy and enough time and capacity within myself to be able to give that to another person at one time that is authentic. Okay, back to that straight closeted thing, is that you can't build a relationship with someone when it's not real. When you're living in your authenticity and you're living in your truth, then we can build something that is like the building blocks of a relationship where it can actually grow and actually last. And also things tend to come out. They do, they come out and people get hurt, and you're gonna hurt people around you. Most of all, you're gonna hurt yourself. So it is what it is. But this was my take on relationships. Don't feel pressured because something's like considered progressive or some shit like that, or wokey or some shit. Go with what feels right for you. Live in your truth and understand what is real and what is not real. Otherwise, when we build things that aren't real, it's gonna collapse at some point, and it's all a complete waste of time. Okay, so that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I know I've covered a lot in the video. It has been a bit heavy, but that's what I do. So if you'd like me to talk about another topic like this, I'm so down for that. I'm up for it. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Have you been hurt? Are you in a relationship that is open? Maybe it's working for you. This was my take on it from my heart, and I hope that you've enjoyed the video. So yeah, lead with love and lead with truth and be real. And I will see you in the next video. Bye. Bye.